Stan with 3D PT. So holiday season's coming up, and there's a project I want to do going forward where I actually make some pencil sharpeners for teachers. So believe it or not, people still use pencils in class, and a hobby of mine is actually to collect um, brass cast or die cast pencil sharpeners. And I have two small shelves that I filled up already. And I was going to design just a simple like box frame to hold them, but then I thought, wait, I've got a 3D printer. I can design whatever I want for a shelf. So the first thing I did is I just looked up a black and white outline of a pencil, and so I found this one here from pngio.com. Saved it as a PNG file, and then used onlineconvert.com to convert it. So after I did that, you could then import it. So now I've got this design here. So I'm actually going to turn this into a shelf. I'm going to put a base here, and I'm probably going to have to do a little finagling to put basically two shelves coming out of this. And then for the base, I'll extract some of this out as a support. I might actually add some more internal supports. I'm going to play around with that. The main consideration, though, is I want this to be big enough to hold a few pencil sharpeners, and it's going to go horizontally on my wall. So I could print it at an angle like this on my build plate. Always make sure it's going to fit within it. So always measure and adjust your design as you go. So I'm going to check that real quick, because with the Taz Pro, I'd like to do this as a dual extrusion where the base is yellow and then any shelving or any highlights are going to be black. So I just have to make sure it fits within the build plate. Now, the specs that they send you from Lesbot are off, because they list the total build plate volume, but actually you lose about 3 millimeters on the left-hand side for the tool head to do all the wiping and functions. So just be aware of that and make sure to double check and cure before you go to final print. So I'm going to go ahead and take some measurements that I need for the pencil sharpeners and some other things when I hang this up in my room. But you see here, I'm just going to start with this base design and use this as the backing of my shelf frame. So I imported this clip art pencil, and I sized it up to fit into the build plate of my printer. So this is pretty much going to fill up most of it. And I'm going to do this as a single extrusion first, and then I could easily switch it over to a dual extrusion and just have different colors this way. But I'm basically going to put a shelf on the bottom here and on the top, and use some of these lines in the background as support braces. So I'll be doing a lot of copy and pasting and just cutting off the parts that I want and going from there. For this next part, I'm going to copy and paste a version of the base. And this I'm going to use to build a shelf. So I'm going to cut some supports and leave those in black. And I'm going to cut those out and use that. So a little bit of playing around, finally got this kind of shape to come in. So you can see here how it's going to be two shells, one on top, one on bottom, with some supports here. And I'm just going to bring it over this one, and you can see how it's going to line up. So if I center that, and make sure to center it on the edge, not the center, because the center is going to put it in the center. But since the footprint on the black part is smaller, it's going to show up differently. So it overlaps that. And I'm just going to, right now it's only 15 high, I need it 50 millimeters high. So from the side it'll look like this, but still have the depth I need to actually store things in it. And you can keep playing with this. I just like having this kind of background here to show pencil just look good. I might actually make another piece here and make this black as well if I do a dual extrusion print. I'm also going to probably put another shelf. Actually, I could probably do that right here. So I only needed about 4 millimeters thick by 50 high. Actually, let me do it that way. I'll just do a and I'll do a shelf going like this on the point. And just work it that way. So you can see how this is going to form a box with a visual pencil in the background. And so I'm going to spend a few more minutes just finagling it back and all into place and looking nice. So now that I have the basic outline done, next thing I'm going to do is add a little lip to the front of each of these, of each shelf, just because I've had problems with certain sharpeners kind of rolling around. So I just took a roof, and I'm just going to make a lip like this. This will also help support. And since it's a prism shape, it'll actually print. I could actually print this without support. So slide that over. So now that I've added the lip and everything to the outside, last thing I need to do is add some mounting hardware. So I made this just with a box and a cylinder. Now I'm just going to make a couple tabs. So the easiest way to do this again is copy and paste and hold down the Alt key or Control. And Alt will actually shrink it all down uniformly, make it into a hole. So when I center it up and group it, No. So if you ever have any doubt, make the hole thicker than the solid, and that way you can make sure you actually punch it through. Um, I'm gonna make that a bit thicker just to be sure. Now I'm just gonna make a really thick wall tab, but when I've tried to put these up in the past, it's been impossible to get the nail through the right hole and get them mounted. So I'm just gonna give myself a lot of room and do it this way. So remember to hold down the shift key and to rotate by 45 degrees at a time. I'm gonna put one there. And slide this all the way over. And I have my grid set to 1/4 of a millimeter, which is why it's taking a little bit longer. But do it that way, get it bedded into the edge. Give it as much support as possible. And so now you have the tabs that you could use to hang this from your wall. And I'm just going to use these and use some frame nails. But if you want to put a flat area for command hooks, that would work. So I'll let you play with that. Some finagling and finish my design. So I put a hole here just to save some time and filament, even though it'll probably be supported when it prints, where it'll let some light through. I also just to keep it looking like a shelf, looking like a pencil, I brought a shelf over. And the last thing I did here is I actually put a couple of tabs. Now these are big and generous enough that I could either use a command hook or a picture frame nail to hang it on the wall. And when I check the dimensions, I can see that it's 102 by 182 millimeters. So 10 centimeters, 10 centimeters tall by about 18 centimeters long. So that's a large print, but it will fit in a build plate. And I'm keeping it as two colors right now because I actually want to do it as a dual color print. But you could do it as a single color print. And go from there. So I'll go ahead and print this now, and then it's probably going to be a long print, but I'll include some time lapse if I can get that set up.